Deliver at All Costs is a fun action open world game that's set in the 1950s where you're a crazy delivery driver trying to make crazy deliveries.
So when we made the initial prototype of the game, we had a bunch of destructible props and objects like that, and we found that to be a really fun gameplay element. So we wanted to see how far can we go with this, how can we turn this into something much bigger. That's sort of how we decided to add the destruction that we have now in the game.
So everything is destructible except for store objects, and of course you can't drive into a mountain and expect it to get destructed. So
the destructibility aspects of our game, everything needs to be set up for destruction. And this forces us to really plan ahead when it comes to everything from, how we model buildings to how we set them up in the game engine. And it's really a custom job on each building where we tweak values from, mass, brake forces, and the way particle systems look to make it all, tight together and blend in a nice way.
So the first step we do to set up a building is for the artists to model the building they have to sort of work in a special way. It's not like building like a building in another game where you don't really have an inside. So we need to model the building in separate parts, and they all need to have interior faces, so you need to model the inside as well. And then when the art asset is ready, we take that into the game engine. We then have some custom tooling in there to help us with the next step, which is breaking it down into even more parts. We break down the walls maybe into 5, 6, 7 parts each, and get it down into like smaller chunks. Then we need to also use this tooling to set up the different types of materials that these parts have. So for instance, you mark the glass as glass, and that will give you the correct particles and sound effects and all that nice stuff. And when that's all done, we need to start getting the right feel to the building. So that's when you start to tweak like the density and the mass of the building and the objects, the force you need to break the building itself. So at this point you have to like run into the building like maybe 30 times to really get that nice feeling.
So each building will typically have between 50 or 150 parts that can crumble with physics, depending on size.
So the cars are totally destructible. They are deformable, so if you drive into a car you can see it kind of smashed in, and the windows will break, the parts will fall off, the doors, the hatches, the hoods, whatever you would expect. So they're very satisfying to drive into.
And Deliver at All Costs, each material has a different behavior. So we have tags for, stone or brick and glass and wood and stuff like that. And then we also have different behaviors for certain specific assets, or objects such as, a gas tank would implode. Tents will fall together with a cloth simulation, and electrical poles will snap and, go and stuff like that.
We had many discussions about the level of interactivity we could have with these destructible buildings, because it's quite difficult to get like something that is interactable and also breaks apart into like 100 parts. We sort of felt like we need to do something interesting, so we made it so that you can actually climb and walk on the buildings, which is quite interesting. So we had to make some systems and things to support this.
Well, the fact that you can, destroy everything that you can also climb or, platform on, it's really been a hard nut to crack on how to handle that. Not the least when it comes to, technical aspects and level design aspects. Sometimes there will be people standing on top of buildings that when you destroy the building, you can watch them fall on their faces. You could actually end up destroying a building that you would need to be able to traverse in certain side quests. However, when it comes to main missions and missions related to story, there are no risks of, setting you up to block yourself from progressing.
So there's two things you can do. You can go around, you can kick, which sounds kind of basic, but it's very fun. You can go around and you can kick, for example, if there's debris or if there's a beach ball. And I know there are some people at Konami that spend hours and hours just running around kicking things, so it's very fun. And you can also shove. So for example, if you see a civilian and you think like that guy is having too good of a day, you can go and you can shove him. So that's very fun. You can spend a lot of time doing that. So what happens if you anger a civilian? They will come after you and they will try to smash your car. Perhaps they will run after you with a chainsaw, they will do a huge jump with a sledgehammer, and if you don't get away, they will totally destroy your car. To defend yourself, as you can jump out and you can shove them to cancel their attacks. They can also jump and latch onto your car, so they can do jumping on a drag out onto your door or to your hatch, and if you don't get rid of them, they will actually pull that off from the car. So yes, they're quite dangerous.
We have worked a lot on the balancing. We want them to be kind of a threat, but we want it more to be a fun aspect of the game, more than an annoyance. If you get 10 civilians angry at you and chasing you, there is a good chance that they will crash the car. But a couple of them is okay, and if you keep your momentum or you speed up, then you will be able to lose them after a while. They won't chase you forever.
If the city is a ruin and there is debris everywhere, one of the things that we're quite proud of is that the civilians will manage to path through that debris and rubble and find you. And there's quite a lot of funny moments where you have the police after you and thinking, you can never find me, you can never catch me. But then he managed to get through the rubble anyway and get you. So it's quite exciting when you have someone after you. Winston can defend himself. He can shove the civilians or the police. If you shove the police, it can help you to escape. If you shove the civilians, it can help you to cancel their attacks. So Deliver the Cost is an action-adventure game set in a world where everything is destructible. You play as Winston Green, a courier with anger management issues on his downward spiral towards insanity.